Hello family and friends, welcome to the Coopermance Wistful Vistas here in beautiful suburban San Diego, California. It's kind of a gloomy day. I'm going to do a garage project, and I thought what we'd try and do is one I've put off for a while because frankly I've been trying to learn as much about it as I can. That is to replace this stock windshield with this model, which is taller, give a little better wind protection, and shaded by a company called PUIG or PUIG. Would someone who is a native Spanish speaker please tell me the correct pronunciation there? In any case, this is clamshelled together. We're going to work at it, take it out, and replace it. Let's get started. So I'm hoping this camera angle works out right. You're never sure about these things, but as I read the how to do it videos, it said to remove these two small outer pieces first. I've already removed the lower bolt. No sense in making you watch the entire ordeal here. Nothing more exciting than to see somebody unscrewing screws, I guess, not bolts. These are not bolts. These are properly classed as screws. They're not very big. They're easy to drop, just like the screwdriver itself is. So there you have it. There's the tiny little screw. This thing now is supposed to come right out. Yes, will you? Not too sure. It doesn't seem like it wants to. Ah, there it goes. It does come right out, and we've exposed another screw there, and that one that we're going to take off next. Stand by. Sorry for the little bit of mess that my worktops are here, but you know, cluttered mind is a happy mind in my opinion. But one of the things I believe in as you disassemble something is to try to keep the orientation. This is the left-hand side mini fairing, this is the right-hand side mini fairing, and the two screws that went with each. Keeping them like this and photo documenting as you go along is a great way to keep the assembly process also in synchronization. Nothing worse than to get halfway through and discover you've got a screw left over, or that you're trying to force something in on a right or left hand orientation that shouldn't be. So just a little aside here. As I say, I've already gone ahead and moved the right hand side. Now we're going to work on the second set of screws. So now I'm removing this upper fairing screw, and these guys don't want to come out. That one just wanted to hang on. We've got a little bit of, it's loosening up a little bit there, but that guy wanted to fight. I don't know why. You always worry that you're going to have the wrong size screw head there and strip it out. So got the left one out. So we're 3 screws out. That one and these 2 down here that held on those mini fairings. I'm going to put this back over here into the center, onto the next side. Okay, I've got the 2 upper screws out, this side and that side. So we've got 4 screws out. No sign of this thing loosening up just yet, but this one was a little bit of a problem to get to, because even though I switched the steering wheel, or changed the steering head to get some room at it, I didn't have a lot of room there, so I had to use a little stubby screwdriver to get at that one. So be forewarned, those 2 aren't happy to come out. The first 4 came out very easily, almost too easily in fact. Okay, on to the next 2. Okay, the next 2 screws to remove also involve the removal of a small piece of fairing, and they are not the easiest to get at. I'm not too sure that this is gonna, not being a cinematographer by training, I'm not too sure that this is gonna be all that visible to everybody, but this guy is right down in there, and it's not in very tight, but what I worry about is this thing drops, and you will be looking for a long time to try to hang on to it. So it does come out. And then this piece here should also come out, which it did very nicely. So this will snap back in when we're done with it all, hopefully. Okay, so we've got the last two exposed, which are these two right here. I'm not sure if that's going to show up, but these two right there, they're silver headed, and we will get at those. Put this thing up on this side, because remember, that's the right hand side, so put that there. All these screws appear to be all the same. By the way, let me show everybody this. This is a discovery. It's been talked about. Let me see. Let me get my iPhone and see if this is going to show up on the filming. So I'm going to do something very unprofessional here and kind of lean in. But it's been talked about whether there is a power takeoff on the front left-hand fairing of the Tuono, 2017 at least, Tuono. And as a matter of fact, there is. I don't know if I can show it. Anyway, it's oh man, I'm not showing it well. It's this piece right here, and it is in fact, I'm going to dangle it there. Can you see it? Can you see it if I go like this? Maybe not. Darn, sorry folks. Just trying to show it to you. But there is a power supply here. Maybe you can see it now if I move it around. There is a power supply, so there's a cap on it, and you would, I think, if you buy the right part, be able to tap into that. You'll have to drill somehow. Let me put it back in so we don't lose it. But that's how it goes. So there is a power supply up front. So I think one could power a USB port there. But that mystery is solved. Indeed, there is one. Okay, so next trick is take those two outside screws out. Gee, I hope this comes out well. It's black on black on black. It may be a little tough to see. But anyhow, we're making progress. Taking these two out on either side, again, little devils, but these are the first that are actually different. They look like they're self-tapping, and they thread into the outer fairing there. So those are the only two screws I've removed that are different in configuration to the others. Okay, one on either side. Let's see what we do next. So per the instructions that I was looking at, we have to remove this screw here. I hope it shows up, and we are able to do enough force on this to be able to get at it and remove it. I'm a little nervous about this part here because this is holding some pressure against something that may not want to have pressure applied to it to remove this little guy. And again, my ultimate worry is that if this, all right, that's loose, that if this drops off the end of the, gonna have to have some tight little fingers in there. Okay, I'm going to take a break and I'll be right back to you to find a good way to get this out. So over the years, I've accumulated some strange tools, and this is a very handy little one. This is an uber long Phillips head with a little sliding piece that's supposed to trap the screw as you put it into something and hopefully remove it. So I'm using this. Unfortunately, when I film this, it just doesn't show up. So I'm going to have to do this off film. But suffice it to say, getting down in there is more than just your ordinary challenge. So Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, that it was really hard to try and film that while I was taking it off, but it does come out there. It's not easy. Fun fact, I did lose one of the screws down into the fairing, but under the heading of accumulating strange tools over the years, I have a little magnetic device. And then I was able to fish down there and get it out. So, let go. Never underestimate your own incompetence. That thing did really drop down in there. That's how I fished it out. There's our collection of spare pieces and parts that came out of there to expose it. And over here, I'll put this down. Ooh. Here are the two windscreens that are the stock and the one that I hope to put in. So let the next part of the adventure begin. I'm going to do a little cleaning of areas that are normally difficult to get to, and then try and put this big guy in. So here we go. It's time for reassembly, and we've got the new shaded screen on, as you can tell. It's a little bit of a fiddle. Most bikes, like my Beamer over here, you've got some easily accessible screws on the front end of it, but this one, part of the beauty of the front design is that there are no exposed fasteners, and it's very aerodynamic, I suppose, in that regard, but it does make the replacement of certain things a little more than an ordinary challenge. I'm really happy to have discovered the power takeoff here, and I'm really curious what Aprilia was thinking about doing with that at some stage. I'm going to have to explore and ask if there's some kit that you can purchase that would allow you to use the plate. The plate that goes on top of that has no access cover for you to get in there. So I'm going to put the panels back on now. I'm going to spare you the boredom of seeing all that go back together again, but we'll get them on, and then we'll do one little sign off. I want to mention the screwdrivers that I used to install this, and you need long ones and short ones, and ones with, let's call them special capabilities. This is a short one. I actually installed some Nest thermostats in my house. And the nice thing about this little guy is it has an interchangeable blade and Phillips head, but it's very easy to grip, and at the same time, it's quite short. So there are areas on this machine when you do this function that's necessary for. I've had this screwdriver for 100 years. Maybe that's not exactly true, but it has an interchangeable end on it and a little magnetic piece on the end of it. That's very handy, convenient to use. And this guy is, I got this for a specific task. It's interesting. If you last long enough, you're going to end up with a lot of tools, specialty type tools. Nice thing about it is that the tip is magnetic, and as you slide this down, you can capture screws on the end of it, and there are times that you want to do that on this machine. You don't want them to get lost, and you have to go through the fishing tool as I did to get them out. Okay, just a note on the screwdrivers. Get yourself, maybe not necessarily one this long, but get yourself a screwdriver that has this capture piece on the end of it and is magnetized, because it's always tough to hold a little screw while you're trying to thread it in. Just a piece of advice. Okay, another little comment about these inside fairings that go onto the machine is that there are tabs on them that snap into the place. They might stay on the machine even without the screws. They're very well, I would say these are very well fastened, but there's a sequence to put them on, and essentially you need to start on the inside and press them out towards the outside. So definite sequence that they go on in, and it doesn't start on the outside, which was a mistake I made on the right-hand side fairing. So make that comment, and we'll start to put this one on. move the bike out of the way. I've got the bike on a stand, by the way, and it goes in something like that. You start on the inside, go over, and it will snap into place. And then it's a matter of putting the screws on and anchoring it down. And incidentally, again, I'm hoping, folks, that this comes out. Let me bring my light up over here. This may help a bit. I'm hoping this comes out, but right under here is where that power takeoff is. So I think that one could get one of these and trim this back, and you'd have access there. I don't think it would mean a thing as far as waterproof or protection from the elements, and it would give you a USB or a power port for any device that you're using. So just a comment there. I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 screws on that attach that to it, but just remember there's a sequence. You start on the inside and work your way out. So on the subject of using this rather ungainly screwdriver, I'm going to have to order myself a shorter one. Again, I mentioned that the end is magnetized. Put that on there, run this piece out, and that will hold it in place so you can reach across into other areas, and instead of, you don't even need access for both hands to put it in. It'll work like that. We can illustrate right here with this. This is way too much tool for the activity that we're trying to achieve here, but it'll give you an idea of how easily that will work. And it'll also give you an idea of what the depth is you need to screw these to. You know, while we're talking about, and then you can back that off if you wish, you don't need to. While we're talking about putting these screws in, I'm going to go back to a theme I've mentioned before, and that is that it's probably easier to over-tighten a small threaded screw than it is to under-tighten a small threaded screw. So you've got to use a little love on them when you install things. So take it down to snug and maybe a quarter turn or so past that, because you're usually threading into something that's plastic or soft metal, and you'll strip it, and that leads to a whole world of hurt. So take it down to that level. You can use thread lock on these too. I'm choosing not to because they're going into plastic, and plastic generally will act as its own sort of torque wrench and hold it in. I'll keep an eye on them for the first few hundred miles to make sure they stay on. But don't over tighten, and get yourself one of these little gizmos. Really a nice combo. Okay, we're down to the last little mini fairings for either side of the machine and the 4 screws. So altogether, I would rate this as something that you don't want to do an hour before you've got a ride to take, but give yourself a little bit of time and be patient. So I'm going to put these last 4 on, and we'll. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's done. It's installed. Your opinion on how it looks compared to the stock one, of course, is appreciated. I'm okay with the look. I think it looks rather sinister in that dark shade there. Here's the stock one by contrast over the top of it. So we've got another, call it, 3 or 4 inches of height there that might do something to directing a little more wind over the top of you on the highway, which would be a nice feature. And these little channels here are also supposed to do something. Not sure how all that works out, but this company is well known. I'm leaving for the time being the sticker on. This company is well known for their windshield products and other products. They do them for MotoGP and World Superbike and things like that. So the next step will be to get it out and go on a ride test. Anyway, done, came out, a little bit more of a challenge than I expected, but the most important thing is it's finished.